Hey guys, today I'm going to be showing you another project I've been working on, and this video is actually for Charles Butler. This is his Minimoog, and I just want to take a quick minute to make a video for him after all the work I've done to it. This one wasn't necessarily a restoration, it was really just more of a repair and service a few things on it. So I just kind of went through some of the basic stuff that you really needed, and I got you fixed up. One of the two really primary problems this one had was Oscillator 3 would just scream at you. It was just such a high frequency that you couldn't even hear it. And what I found was that I got looking at the current source and everything, and what you actually had was you had an op-amp related to your oscillator frequency control that was driving just way too hard. And so basically your input was right, your summing amplifier was working for your CV lines, but then when it got on the actual current source, before it went to the conversion of voltage to current, it was driving the CV line extremely high, and that's why you had an extremely high frequency, because it was always seeing this really offset voltage, and so it was just screaming at you. So I repaired that and got that working right, and just did a few little extra things for you. I cleaned your chassis real good. I just decided to go and give you a good cleaning here. I conditioned your wood as well. As you can see, this is a beautiful cabinet. This is actually probably one of the prettiest Minimoogs I've seen that hadn't had a new cabinet made. It's actually like a Norland cabinet. It's got the thick end cheeks like the later Minimoogs. The early Minimoogs had a real thin chick on them, and but the wood they used was really high quality. As you can see, it's just a really pretty wood. Later on, Moog or Norland, they started using a cheaper wood, and they just stain it, so you didn't really see all the details in the wood. So this is a good example of an earlier Minimoog. And so anyways, I'm just going to show you that right quick. And also, I just kind of gave you a good cleaning. Rebuilt the keyboard. As you know, you had some horrible key bushings. That was the other secondary issue that you had. It was just really clanky. You had notes that wouldn't work. You had all these issues. But I'll walk you around here and just kind of show you how clean everything is before I demo you the sounds. I got rid of those stickers that we had talked about. Those are all gone. I got rid of a lot of nicotine off this thing. I guess it traveled wherever it toured with back in the 70s or whatever. It was just had a nice coating on it. But I got you back to the nice shiny metal. Of course, this lighting in here, I don't know if it's that great or not for showing that. But yeah, I just got all that cleaned up for you. But yeah, as you can hear, rough Rick Wakeman there for you. Yeah, as you can hear, I'll go through all the oscillators here so you can hear it. Well, actually, let me go to the keyboard so you can hear all the notes. So I'm going to just start from the top octave and go down. Turn off the glide. And what you heard there, that was actually the glide circuit. So we'll turn off glide here. As you can hear, that's all working great. All your notes are working. I actually cleaned your contacts a little different on this one. You had a lot of wear in it on your actual bus rails, and so I very gently rotated your rails to a new area where the contacts have not been hitting. And then what I did is I gave it a good deoxit cleaning, and that got rid of all the corrosion or anything that was dirty on the actual springs of your contacts. And then I flushed it down with alcohol to remove the oils from the deoxit. So I kind of did a little bit more work to your key bus than I normally do, but it really turned out great. I mean, I'm really happy with the triggering, the action of it. It feels great. The alignment, as you can see, is really nice. Use the factory tool like I always do. I actually also cleaned your cutoff frequency pod. It was really scratchy, and I just wasn't happy with how it was reacting. So I took it apart, cleaned it, As you can hear, we'll go over it. Actually, we'll turn on oscillator. Just go to sustain for me. As you can hear, all that's really good and clean now. That's all nice and clean for you. Works great. And I'll go through all of the oscillators now and just show you that all oscillators are working. And we'll start with oscillator 3 since that was your troubled one. Let me open this filter up a little bit. You'll go to low. As you can hear, and I actually cleaned these pots as well, or these switches, because you had a lot of noise in those. I turned the frequency, it was all over the place. You had noise in your wave shapes. Here's oscillator 2. As you can hear. Beautiful sounding Minimoog. It's really a great sounding Minimoog. You heard your noise to accidentally hit the noise switch, but I'll show you that that's working. Just open this up a little bit. There's your white noise, pink noise. Works really well. And I'll show you too that your frequencies are working for your oscillators. We'll go here and turn on oscillator 1 and 2. Here's oscillator 3. Yeah, so as you can hear, all this is working correctly now. And you still got a few little things I would have taken care of in a normal restoration, but since this was really just a servicing, there's a few things like, for instance, your power light, it flickers. It's just a common thing when they get wear on them. That's actually a fluorescent bulb, and they just wear out. And that's what you're seeing. You're just seeing that one at the end of its life. I did go in and clean everything up real well, like I said. Your keyboard action, as you can hear, there's no more clanking, which you well aware knew. It was very clanky. As you can hear, it's nice and quiet. Everything's nice and clean and even. And I'm happy with it, and I know you'll be happy with it too, because until I'm happy with something, I don't let it go out my door. And that's just how I am with these things. Because it'll come back and bite you if you don't use that attitude. And so I make sure things are right. And one other little thing I do have to surprise you with here, Charles. This is something that I don't normally like to do, but I decided this was the best approach. Somebody had modified your Minimoog, and you can see these two things here, which I actually ended up replacing this jack because I used just really cheap parts on this mod, and they didn't know how to solder. So you can already get an idea where I'm going with this thing. It was just nasty. It was horrible. They had actually had solder splashed down inside the chassis, and it was going to cause FOD, or foreign object damage. If it ever got on one of your circuit boards, like if it had been shipped or something, and that stuff landed on one of your boards, shorted something out, it would cause a dead Minimoog. So what I did, I actually ended up vacuuming out the inside of your chassis. I blew out all your connector ports, got all that cleaned. And I decided I hate leaving dummy parts. I just do not like leaving parts in here that do nothing. You have to excuse, there's a train going by outside, so it's probably going to get loud here. But what I actually did is I ended up changing this into a gate source. So now what you got is you can plug in an instrument here, a modern synthesizer that has a gate output. You can plug it in here and it'll trigger your Minimoog. And then what I also did is I went over here and I wired in a 10K pot into your oscillator jack. So now you can offset your scaling. So you can actually hook it into a 1 volt per octave synthesizer now and actually trigger it and get the keyboard set up. And you can actually make it track a modern synthesizer. Analog synthesizer, that is, not MIDI, but you could still use a MIDI to CV converter and get some of the same results. You just wouldn't set it up for a Minimoog unless you plugged into the Synth Jones. But actually all this still functions too. So you still have your normal Minimoog outputs and inputs, just with an added gate and scaling pot. So just something I thought would be kind of cool, because what they had originally tried to do, and the best I could figure with this mod, because I mean things were dangling. I mean it was very, very bad. Wires were just hanging in there, just really nasty. From what I gathered, they had tried to make a keyboard output circuit, which to me is just really crappy done. It was not right. And typically, if I ever add a keyboard CV output from a Minimoog or any synth, I usually try to add a buffering circuit. So it kind of keeps current drops off your actual keyboard circuit itself. Kind of protects some things, gives it a little more boost. Takes some of the load off your actual keyboard circuit is really what a buffering circuit would do. And plus, you didn't have a gate output, so you'd never been able to trigger anything with a Minimoog unless you built a gate output circuit. So a little bit more work involved with actually making a keyboard circuit output. So I thought this was a much more practical approach, using something that was already modified and just making it a lot more useful for you. So anyways, that was just one of the little surprises I had for you. But yeah guys, this is a really nice Minimoog, and Charles, I really do appreciate you letting me work on your Minimoog and get you going again. And yeah, I think you're going to be very happy with it. But I just want to make a quick video here before I box it up and get it ready to go out to you. And I'll definitely be in touch with you. Take care.